Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from a rainy Alpharetta, but inside the warm confines of Renaissance Bank. And yes, Renaissance Bank is our studio host here in Alpharetta. And you know what? They're not just that, but they're a great bank. And they're a great bank, not just because I say so, but because of surveys of actual customers conducted by Money Magazine, by Forbes. They consistently rank Renaissance Bank in the top, both regionally and nationally, for customer service. So if you're looking for a better banking experience for your business, go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and be in touch. And I think you'll be glad that you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome LeeAnn Maxwell. LeeAnn is the founder of the Maxwell Adventure team of Century 21 Connect Realty. I got it all out, LeeAnn.
Good for you.
Yeah, welcome.
It's a lot. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, but it's all there. So that's perfect. And I love that name, the Adventure. So that's inviting. So
Yes.
Tell us about the adventure you take your clients on.
Well, it started out as a joke that we were calling ourselves the Adventure Team because we like to go on adventures. We like to do a lot of outdoor adventuring. I'm from West Virginia, so that's a great state to be from.
Right.
And it still holds a lot of adventuring.
Right.
But we decided that life is an adventure and real estate is part of it. So that became our tag. Our brand is taking you on your own real estate adventure.
That's I like that. And yes, to West Virginia, what a great outdoor state, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You're not just real estate, although you're that. But we're going to talk about vodka today as well, right?
I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
we're throwing people a curveball on that one. So talk about why we're talking about vodka.
So fun fact, my girlfriend and I also founded a vodka company. And I have married the two professions' careers because vodka makes a great closing gift. But my background is in mortgages, so I've always been in the finance field. I started in West Virginia running a branch. I moved to Hilton Head and worked with developers, and then moved to Atlanta and was everything from an originator to an underwriter, and ended up my career running a Freddie Mac foreclosure department for a local law firm. So I'm also a CrossFitter, and a bunch of us girls went on a beach trip to train for a triathlon. And we brought vodka and bathing suits to learn to swim in the ocean. And a conversation started about why we all brought the vodkas we brought and how they were speaking to us as women. Mm-hmm. And I like to say we came home sobered up and realized we had a good idea of starting a vodka company geared toward women. Mm-hmm. And my partner is Carrie King, and she was the marketing director for Comcast Spotlight. And so she came up with the name. But honestly, John, we thought it was kind of a crazy idea on a crazy girls beach trip that we talk about on the next beach trip.
Right.
But I just kept thinking about that name, Vixen Vodka. And so I started researching it and Googling it, and there wasn't a Vixen Vodka. So I bought all the websites, including the website Vixen Vodka Sucks. And I figured I should own it before anybody else did.
I like that. That's really good advice for people. I like that.
And then like I said, I bought a bunch of websites, and then I called my ex-husband. And he wasn't a great husband, but he's a really good creative director. And I said, Carrie has an idea of starting a vodka company, calling it Vixen. What do you think? And he said, I think it's a brilliant idea. And I said, good, I need you to do all the creative for me for free.
There you go.
So we built the brand before we built or distilled a drop of vodka. Mm-hmm. And so we had the brand Vixen Vodka in August of 2010. We made vodka in December of 2010. We found a distillery that would make our formula for us. And then we knew we had to raise money. And the first thing we did before we raised money was bought the trademark. Very important.
Yeah.
Just renewed it. Very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just started raising money. And I have twin boys that went to Centennial, and they played every sport in the book. And I joined every committee. And I said, put me in charge of anything but fundraising. I don't like to raise money. And then that's all I did for about a couple years.
Right. You always get called into what you detest, right?
Well, it's funny because once you're passionate about something, it's not hard.
Right.
It's very easy to, for me it was, very easy to translate that passion to other people, to do a friends and family round. And we raised over $1 million and started the journey and got vodka on the shelf the end of November 2012. And it is still on the shelf. We're at Total Wine for anybody who would like to go buy a
There
bottle.
you go. Right here in Alpharetta.
And Kennesaw.
Kennesaw, yeah.
And I've learned a lot. Every state is different, and we are licensed in about 14. We ended up switching distilleries to a distillery out in California, and they are also a national distributor. So they are relaunching the brand in states that have never had it. So it's renewing and starting again.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story. So this happened in part because of your extensive, deep experience in the liquor industry, right?
Let me tell you, I say that my deep, extensive experience in the liquor industry was that I like to drink it.
Ah, there you go. You were a consumer.
And I think that, yes, I was a consumer, still am. And I think what I didn't know helped me tremendously.
Say more about that.
If I would have known about the liquor industry and how male dominant it was, and don't get me wrong, we love men. We've married a few.
Yeah, sure.
However, it's tough for a woman, and it was tough for us, 10 years ago. We got a lot of what I call the Pat syndrome. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
you started a vodka company. That's
right,
so cute.
Right. Damning with faint praise.
Yeah, and a lot of that's a nice hobby to have. So we got a lot of that, but we persevered, and we're pretty proud of the fact that it's still on the shelf. It's still being poured at parties and poured at events and bars and country clubs, and we've done a lot of speaking to women entrepreneurs, speaking to leadership classes, College of Charleston, Mercer, women in marketing out in Chicago, just telling the story of we went for our it.
Right.
We don't know what your it is, but you need to go for it, because if not, you will be asking yourself 10 years from now, wow, I had a good idea once.
Right.
And, that whole dream without action is merely a fantasy. We are that in the bottle.
Yeah.
We put action behind that crazy dream.
Wow. What a great story. So what advice do you give to women who hear this interview and think, I think I'd like to do that? I mean, what advice do you give them?
So I've written a book, and at first, when I wrote it, it was in the midst of Vixen, and I was very excited and thought we were going to be the next Skinny Girl. And then, it wasn't going anywhere. It's just Carrie and I, and we needed help. And so I finally said, I can't write that book because Vixen isn't a success yet. But I met a publisher at a networking event, and he said, it's not about that. It's about the journey. It's about the steps you took to make it real. Right. So I've written it. It's in the process of being published, but it's going to be sort of part workbook, part memoir, and part cocktail book. So my best, I have a lot of advice, but I will distill it down. How about that?
There you go.
And
pardon the pun.
Pardon the pun. One is think about your name. I don't think I would have started a vodka company if I didn't have the name Vixen Vodka. Right. So I think everything's in the name. So I've had people come to me, I have a really good idea for a limoncello. We have a really good idea for a herbal gin. And I'm like, what's the name? And they're like, well, we haven't gotten there yet. And I'm like, come back to me, And then learn to write a business plan. I wrote my first business plan, and it was beautiful, and I loved it, and it was 48 pages long. And I met with a guy, and he said, "You've answered every question. You've answered questions I didn't even know I had, but nobody will read this because it's 48 pages long." So learn to write a business plan and learn to be brief about it. And yeah, and obviously there's different steps that I had to take for the liquor industry. So I've started coaching a little bit, both real estate and entrepreneurial, and every industry is different, but there are still some things that ring true no matter the industry.
Well, no offense to your business coach, but you learned a lot by writing out 48 pages, right? So there was value to doing that. Maybe that's not the version you want to show.
That wasn't the version I used to raise money.
Yeah,
but it was the version I learned to know my business inside and out.
Right.
And that's why when I get asked to speak, and whether it's a group of 24 graduate students or 5,000 women in Chicago, people say, "Are you nervous?" And I'm like, "No," because I know my business. And I'm super passionate about it, both vodka and real estate.
Well, the other thing about what you said, LeeAnn, is, who's to define what success is, right? Success is what you and your partner think it is, right? It's not what the rest of the world thinks.
Well, yes and no. When you have investors, I will tell you that. Okay. I can tell you what they think success is.
I get it.
But,
I get it.
You know.
Right. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Having said that, it would be great if you were going to create the next iconic vodka brand, right? But that's not what you necessarily intended to do.
I intended to get an idea to the shelf.
Yeah.
And so if that's what you consider success, then yes. And
that's monumental success compared to a lot of things, right?
It's sort of the same thing with CrossFit. When we were doing that triathlon, I said, I don't want to be last, and I don't want to get picked up in a golf cart, because that's what happens if you don't finish in under a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. So what I say is, like, I did what 96% of people don't do, because 96% of people don't do a triathlon.
Right.
And then I finished, and I didn't get picked up in the golf cart. So success does take on different forms.
It does. It does. LeeAnn Maxwell is with us, folks. She is with Vixen Vodka and the Maxwell Adventure team of Century 21 Connect Realty. Let's talk a little bit about real estate. So you've got quite a background in real estate.
Like I said, I started out in mortgages and, ran a branch in West Virginia, in the Morgantown branch of Charleston Federal Savings and Loan. That's how that's how old I am. And then moved to Hilton Head, worked with developers there, moved to Atlanta. So I was always in mortgages. And I was when I went on this girls' beach trip. Mm-hmm. And, I did have visions of being full-time vodka, but it wasn't paying the bills. Mm-hmm. So my brother was a realtor at Century 21. And he said, "Why don't you get your license and join me?" And I was like, "Oh, I do not want to get my real estate license. I hate realtors." Mortgage loan officers and realtors sometimes have a contentious relationship.
Okay.
However, I got my license, and he started teaching me the ropes of real estate, and I found that I just love it. And I absolutely love the whole process. I love looking at houses. I love working with sellers. I have a lot of social media about it. Mm-hmm. And I feel that with my mortgage background, I just have a little bit more to offer to our clients, navigating the tricky waters of finance and interest rates and buy downs and everything else that comes along with it. So I enjoy it.
Now, one of the things is, since you brought up social media, one of the things that stands out about you is that you're on this, you have a passion for the creepy and the craziest and the weirdest.
I do.
Talk about what that is.
When I was showing houses, I think I got my license in 2018, full-time real estate. I just noticed that every house, no matter what, had a room or a closet or a storage space that just seemed creepy. And so I started doing social media stories on murder rooms. And yeah, I'm telling you, John, every house has one. And so I just started sort of taking people along with me on my real estate journey, showing them. I never show the exact house I'm looking at, so don't worry, people. I never really say exactly where I am.
Right.
But we had one house that when you opened the closet, there was a few steps up, and then it went under the roof line, and there was a single folding chair in that room. And I just was like, something happened in this room. So I'm on all the platforms, and I try to do a mix of helpful tips.
Right.
Like, what is earnest money, and how does,
right.
how could you lose it? And what are wiring instructions, and how to protect yourself against wire fraud? So I do a lot of helpful tip videos, but I also do a lot of, I'm going to take you along when I go look at this house.
LeeAnn Maxwell, folks, if you ever have her over to your house for dinner, keep your eye on her. She may disappear and be taking videos of a room somewhere.
And you'll never know.
Yeah.
Until you see yourself on TikTok.
That's right. That's funny. So what do people need to know right now? I mean, maybe in terms of just sellers, I mean, the environment goes up, it goes down. We're in the spring right now. It's opening up a little bit, but talk about the biggest mistake you see sellers make besides having a creepy room.
I think the biggest mistake I see sellers make right now is waiting. If you're ready, I mean, people ask me a lot, what's the market? How's the market? Mm-hmm. And I'm always like, well, how's your market? Like, what's your point of pain or pleasure? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, right. Are you getting a divorce and you need to sell the house? Mm-hmm. Like I said, we work with a lot of seniors. We have our senior real estate certification. Do you have an estate to sell? Has someone passed away and you need to get rid of your asset? A lot of the times I tell sellers, don't think of it as selling your house, but think of it as liquidating your asset. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are very tied emotionally to their house, which I completely understand. Sure. But when it's time for a new family, it's time for a new family. Mm-hmm. And nobody can time the market, not even the experts, right?
Right.
And so that's what I say. If you're ready to sell your house, we're ready to be on that journey with you. And there's no timing.
What is your geography in terms of the area you work in, LeeAnn?
So we are licensed in the state of Georgia. So I like to say we sell from the mountains to the coast. I have sold listings in Jasper and Ellijay. I have sold on St. Simon's, which, by the way, is where the vodka journey started. And so it holds a special place in my heart. So if anybody is, has property on St. Simon's, I'm like, I'm there. Yeah. But obviously Metro Atlanta is our sweet spot, and the Northern Arc. I think we have 5 or 6 relo clients right now. Atlanta's hot, and a lot of tech jobs are moving here. Alpharetta is especially a tech corridor for a lot of these companies. And we have relos coming in the spring. They've come to check us out probably December, January, and they're going to come house hunting in the spring from Myrtle Beach, Austin, New York, Florida, Baltimore. I mean, Atlanta's still a mecca for these people.
Sure.
And they, the one most important thing for all my relo clients right now are schools. Mm-hmm. And so as long as they're in a good school district, they're not too picky about their areas. Right.
No, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So what are the, as you get into that process and people figure out that they need to lose the emotions, I guess, maybe, or put those on the side about their home. What are the things you counsel sellers in terms of showcasing their home, getting it ready for sale, and that kind of thing, right?
So what we usually do is we'll have a pre-listing interview with them and go over with them how their experience has been in the past with selling a home. And if they have, we get that, and we get all the details of the house and all that. Then we come over and actually do the tour of the home. And number one is, this is not your house anymore. This is someone else's house. As soon as you decide to sell your house, it is not your house anymore.
Right.
And that's the mindset sellers need to take. And do I tell them to take every single little personal thing down? No, I still want the house to have some character. But when people walk into a house, they want to imagine themselves living there.
Yeah.
And I took like I said, one of my Relo clients out to see a house the other day, ranch on a basement, which everybody wants. Everybody wants a ranch on a basement. And so I thought, this is it. It's so beautiful. It's in a great neighborhood. And we walk in, and John, all we did was look, I mean, me included, all we did was look at the seller stuff. The seller was obviously an antique collector.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw Pony Express bags. We saw antique bars. We saw like a mural from a ship that they had in their basement. They had a coat of arms. They had a knight in one corner, and we couldn't stop looking at their stuff. But I kept saying, we've got to imagine this house without the stuff. We got to imagine this house without the stuff. You have to imagine that you're looking at a 4-bedroom ranch on a basement in a beautiful neighborhood with a screen porch and a great backyard. We couldn't do it. Which
is impossible to do because you think you're at Queen of Hearts Antique.
That's exactly right. And that's, as agents, if we're cooperative agents, we give each other feedback.
Yeah.
And I want to give constructive feedback. I mean, if it's like, well, it's too steep of a driveway, well, there's nothing I can do about that. Mm-hmm. But I want to give constructive feedback. And so I gave the agent the feedback. I said, the best thing I don't like vacant houses. I don't think they show us well, but the best thing you could do is make this a vacant house because there was just too much stuff. So
right.
I have my staging certification. So I like to come in and help declutter. We have resources. That's the other thing is, one of our taglines at Maxwell Adventure Team is we want your shoulders to relax. We want, once you meet with Philip and I, for your shoulders to relax, knowing that we've got this, because we just have a vast network of resources, from handyman to plumbers to electricians to declutterers to moving to anything you need. We can get your house ready for you. And even after you close, whatever you need, we've got it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice from LeeAnn Maxwell, part of the Maxwell Adventure Team of Century 21 Connect Realty. Let's give a shout out to Philip. You said, I love what you say in the show notes. Second husband, best friend.
And we call each other our second and last, our Sals.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, we got fixed up about 12 years ago. And got married on 2/12/12 in Vegas. Have 5 kids between us and 5 grandkids.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're a good team.
That's awesome.
Philip's very analytical. So we have a service that we offer to our clients, and it's called a real estate review. So once a year, we review your asset. It's like a checkup with the dentist or the doctor, or check in with your financial advisor, accountant. We want to show you how your biggest asset is performing. Mm-hmm. And Philip does real estate reviews every week for at least 2 to 5 clients. And it takes, what he does is it's very analytical. It's not a deep market dive about your particular house, but it's about the market conditions. And we start nationally. We narrow it to Georgia. When I say we, I'm going to say he, narrows it to the Atlanta metro area, and then to your school district.
Right.
And it basically just shows a year-over-year comparison of how your asset is performing. And everyone's asset's still performing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned the book. What's the name of the book, or do you have the name yet?
The working title is How to Build Your Brand Without Spilling Your Martini.
I like that. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've got the book. You've also got a coaching program.
So yeah, I've started coaching. Like I said, it started out with, talking to women entrepreneurs, and, we have a brand anthem, and one of it is about owning every room you enter and being bold and beautiful, even in stilettos. And we almost took the stiletto part out because it's very gender neutral, really. Mm-hmm. And it's just about going for your it. So that's how it started. Was I just got a lot of inquiries about, how did you do this? How did you know? What are the steps that you took? And Carrie and I both say, if we can do it, anybody can do it. We were just 2 girls on a beach trip. And when, I said our first business meeting was on the beach and our second was at a nail salon. And I said to Carrie, hey, I talked to Eddie, and he said that he thinks it's a brilliant idea. And she was like, what idea? And I said, Vixen Vodka. And she goes, we're doing that? And I'm like, yeah, we're doing it. I bought all the way, blah, blah, blah. And she told me later, she said, I knew if I didn't do it with you that you'd find somebody else to do it with. And I said, if we don't do it, there'll be 2 girls in Kansas who went on a beach trip and came. I mean,
sure.
I still think there's no original ideas.
Right.
It's the people that act on the ideas that are the disruptors. And so that's how it started, was me just sort of giving advice, counseling to other entrepreneurs. But then it got into the real estate business, and just because of my mortgage background and how old I am, I just started counseling a lot of younger agents. So there's a selling system called Ninja Selling that I ascribe to in the real estate arena, and I am working on getting my coaching certification through Ninja so that I can counsel other realtors on the real estate practice, but be open to entrepreneurial counseling, coaching as well.
Okay, let's see. We got vodka, we got real estate, we got a book, we got coaching. I mean, you need to do something, LeeAnn.
I know. I'm very boring.
That's right. Wow, great work from LeeAnn Maxwell. LeeAnn, this has been great, and congratulations on all the great work you do, how you're serving folks out there.
Thank you.
But let's get to the most important question, which is how anyone that's heard anything about you and all the things you're up to, how they can get in touch, and specifically where they can go. You mentioned Total Wine, but how do they find your vodka? Yeah,
so I would think Total Wine's probably the biggest and the one that everybody knows. Don't you know? I don't know if you know this or not, but any liquor store can only have 2 locations in the state of Georgia. Total Wine probably has 100 locations in the city of Minneapolis, but in the state of Georgia, they can only have 2. And they have more than 2, but only 2 sell spirits. So one's in North Point, and one's in Kennesaw. Website-wise, vixenvodka.com and the MaxwellAdventureTeam.com. And we are with Century 21 Connect Realty. We are behind Brookwood Grill off of Holcomb Bridge. And I am on all social media channels as either LeeAnn Maxwell or the Maxwell Adventure Team. So you can find me on, you name it.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Awesome. And if you're in one of those other 13 states that Vixen Vodka is carried in, just go talk to your favorite liquor store and say, hey, ask them to carry it, right? So that's
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's another way to get it.
That's very true.
Because we have more listeners than just here in North Fulton. Good. So check it out. Yes. LeeAnn Maxwell, folks, Vixen Vodka, the Maxwell Adventure Team of Century 21 Connect Realty. LeeAnn, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Hey, folks, just a quick reminder. If you are, well, I'll just say it. If you're getting drunk thinking about your back office problems, okay, your administrative tasks, your bookkeeping, maybe you've got marketing that needs to get done that you're trying to handle but doing it not so well, I've got a suggestion for you. Go to officeangels.us and check them out. Chief Executive Angel, S.E. Escobedo, has a whole team of angels that have terrific skills and experience, and she picks the right one for your need, and they fly in, get the job done, and they fly out. And they do it on an ongoing or as-needed basis, and they do a terrific job. And I know this because I use their services. So if you need better help in your back office, get in touch with Essie at 770-442-9246. Let her know we sent you, or again, go to officeangels.us. And folks, just a reminder, speaking of books, I've got a book coming out later this year. It's called The Price and Value Journey, Raising Your Confidence, Your Value, and Your Prices using the Generosity Mindset Method. If you want to know more about that, go to pricevaluejourney.com. You can sign up for updates. You can also find my podcast of the same name and other information there. Also, just a thank you to our audience. So we are about to celebrate 7 years of this show, and we're up to episode number 616 or something like that. We've only gotten this far because we got a great audience that continues to do something that all the guests want, and what I want, because I want what the guests want, is to have the show shared. So if you've heard something here that makes you want to share the show, please do so. We're here to celebrate the great work of business leaders like LeeAnn and all the I think maybe 900, 1,000 guests we've had over the years on this show. So help us help them as we continue to be the voice of business in North Fulton, and we, again, are grateful for that continued support. So for my guest, LeeAnn Maxwell, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.